Okay, Mr. Hamilton, if you could start your final presentation, please.
Just before I complete the presentation, we received a letter from Kirkham Town Council this morning, and that was received after the late observation schedule was produced, so I'd just like to read it out to make you aware of it, because that is what the council have requested. It states, Kirkham Town Council fully support the stadium element of this proposal in principle. However, the highways and transport element proposed ancillary developments raise cause for concern. Primarily, these relate to the extension of the proposed 4-hectare site within the local plan, which is at the consultation stage, to 12 hectares. The volume of traffic overall on an already congested road network with no clear strategy outlined to resolve. In light of the above point, a single point of egress and ingress, particularly for emergency situations, the adverse impact on Kirkham and Wesham High Streets by the inclusion of ancillary enablement development retail outlets. Due to these concerns and the current full proposal in outline form, Kirkham Town Council is unable to support this application in its current form and objects. Kirkham Town Council would also like to place on record its frustration and disappointment that it was not provided with a full set of plans for the application to assess the meeting that the full council held on Tuesday the 3rd of June last night. So the site itself is a 12.6 hectare site. To the north is Bradkirk Brook, a dwelling known as Demingfield, Mill Farm, agricultural land to the east and the southwest and west, and Weston to the south. The site is really made up of gently undulating agricultural land, and in addition there is a 4.5 hectare plantation of spruce trees. Within the adopted Fylde local plan, the site is allocated as a countryside area, and within the council's published preferred options for development, the land is allocated as a mixed employment leisure use with 4 hectares specified for employment. So this is from the roundabout where the site access would be created in this area. So this view is looking north towards Fleetwood Road and the A585. And that's looking north again, but on the other side of the roundabout, and shows Fleetwood Road going north. Again, that's Fleetwood Road with the application site on the left-hand side behind the hedgerow. It gives an indication of some of the housing that is opposite the site. As does this. And then at the northern end of the site, Fleetwood Road again, as it drops down towards Dentonfield and Bradkirk Brook. This is part of the Mill Farm complex on the west side of Fleetwood Road. One of the dwellings at Mill Farm as well on Fleetwood Road. this shows one of the existing access points from Fleetwood Road to Mill Farm. At the southern end of the site, there is a public footpath, the route of which would remain unaltered by this proposal. There's a photograph taken looking over the site from Fleetwood Road, and the type of land that's due to be considered. At the northern end of the site, you see the crop of spruce trees here, and then existing mature planting along the boundary with Threadcote Brook. Within the site, you can see the crop of spruce trees here on the left-hand side. Some of the land that is used for grazing of horses. And that's looking back towards Mill Farm from within the site. Gives an indication of the appearance of Mill Farm at the moment. The gap in the hedge is the existing public footpath, which is proposed to be diverted. And the view back from the public footpath looking towards Fleetwood Road. Within the site, that shows part of the spruce tree planting and also deciduous vegetation on the right hand side. And again, shows one of the fields within the site and the spruce tree crop. It's a view looking over towards the western boundary of the site. And also to the eastern boundary from within the site. At the northern end of Wesson, existing footpath which meets up with Fleetwood Road, and it would be proposed to install a crossing and continue the footpath on the western side of Fleetwood Road outside the site. And gives an indication of some of the type of housing at the northern end of Weston, close to the site. So the proposed site plan, the elements shaded green are applied for in outline. Parts shaded in blue are applied for in full. So at the southern end of the site is the proposed location of the public house, site access, the drive-through restaurant and petrol filling station, bulk goods retail unit, a hotel. The Aldi supermarket would be in this location, the football stadium, the distribution centre, further car parking for the football ground will be situated in these areas, and then you have a series of artificial pitches, including 6 all-weather 5-a-side pitches, and a further area of car parking and the surface water attenuation pond. So the scheme has been revised from the original proposal, which included an indoor sports science building at this end of the site, and that's been now omitted from the scheme to make way for the car parking and the surface water attenuation pond, which the car parking was a request of the Highway Authority and the pond is a request of the Environment Agency. So this blue line, if you can make it out, shows the existing public footpath at the southern end of the site. There's another public footpath running across the site, which is proposed to be diverted, and it would take the route following this green line around the back of the stand, across the main spine road, and across the site towards the rest of the boundary. The plan shows the landscaping strategy for the site, which is to have an avenue of planting across the eastern side of the development, along with further planting along the main access road into the site, within car park areas as well, and also the retention where possible, the retention of existing trees and areas of new planting as well. Turning to the design of the proposed football stadium, a cantilever style curved roof. This shows the view from the main entrance on the outside, and this shows the profile from the side as well. So the roof will be constructed with roof cladding and cladding for the building as well. Again, you can see the curved roof style with steel supports, but this view is taken from the pitch. So, in terms of the internal layout of the main stand, which would hold 2,000 spectators. So you have seating at the front, you have changing areas for players and match officials, you have a concourse at either end, an area shown as a supporters bar, and an area shown as future fit out, which could possibly be a club shop or something like that in the future. First floor level, there's an area shown as a restaurant and also a function room associated with match activities. And both areas include terraces at either end where people could either watch the game or the function was taking place and move out onto the terrace. And then the second floor of the proposed development, there's no end user and it's shown as possible future fit-out space. The other three stands comprise covered terracing, standing. Again, they would be designed with a curved roof and steel support columns. buildings finished in cladding. Turning now to the proposed Aldi supermarket. This will have a monopitch roof sloping down. Again, the building would have a finishing cladding, glazing, and would have an oversailing entrance canopy. Proposed distribution centre for Trilanco, includes office space as well for the company, and a service yard at the rear end of the building. This will be clad in a mixture of different shades of blue and silver. In terms of the drainage for the site, proposed access is here. The line of the Hodder main is shown in this area and the easement, but there's a foul drain into Fleetwood Road which would be connected through the site to provide for foul drainage. Then this area of the site proposed surface water attenuation pond. The water would drain with an inlet into the attenuation pond and then be released by way of a hydro break with an outlet into Bradford. So, just one moment. So the elements of the scheme that are applied for in outlines, so that's the areas shaded green, include a public house of 1,282 square metres, a petrol filling station including a kiosk, a drive-through restaurant of 203 square metres, bulky goods retail unit of 825 square metres, a hotel of 2,196 square metres, full-size floodlit football pitch and a multi-use floodlit artificial pitch, and the 6-number five-side pitches. So these are the pitches in question here, and the five-side pitches, in addition to the new car park and the pond. So in terms of the policy background to this application, the Council's preferred options for development has been published, and this site is identified as a strategic location for development for employment and leisure purposes. This is a material consideration, but this document has been subject to consultation and objections have been received. Therefore, it is considered it can only be afforded limited weight. The filed Borough Local Plan allocates the whole of the application site as part of the countryside under policy SP2. The proposal doesn't accord with that policy as as it's restricted to uses that are of a rural nature. However, the evidence which was used to inform the Council's emerging local plan indicates that the settlement boundaries cannot be maintained in their current form if the development needs of the borough to be met. As the adopted local plan is out of date in this respect, the weight to be attached to this issue is also a matter which needs to be considered in the balance of issues by the decision making. The preferred options document refers to provision of 4 hectares of employment land at this site. However, this application proposes 2.5 hectares of employment use in the form of a distribution centre. The other uses, such as retail, public house and the hotel, are not classified as employment uses for the purposes of the use classes order, but would deliver employment opportunities which need to be taken into consideration. This issue has been assessed in the response from the Council's Economic Development Officer, and it's considered that the employment benefits in terms of job creation from the proposed development would be in excess of an equivalent scheme for uses within Class B of the use classes order. So the economic benefits of the development are considered to be positive and would outweigh the issue of the amount of land to be devoted to employment uses within the emerging local plan. Looking at retail issues, Aldi Supermarkets are the applicant for this proposal, which is in full. The other retail element of the scheme is applied for in outline and is a bulky goods retail unit. For developments located outside the centre, the National Planning Policy Framework and Development Plan Policy require the applicant to demonstrate that there are no sequentially preferable sites or premises where the development could be located. The framework requires an assessment of the likely impacts arising from proposals in circumstances where development exceeds 2,500 square metres or a lower local threshold set within the development plan. The emerging local plan adopts the default national threshold of 2,500 square metres. A review of the 2011 retail study has been carried out on behalf of the Council recently, which updates the assessment of the resale capacity of the area and proposes a lower local threshold for retail impact assessments. The applicant has submitted a retail impact as part of this proposal, which has been assessed on behalf of the Council by Alan Nichols, who is a Chartered Town Planner acting as an independent retail consultant. And he's provided advice with a written assessment of the applicant's proposal. The applicant's retail assessment has sought to identify 2 sites for consideration within the sequential assessment at Kirkham Town Centre. These are the car park and land at the Kirkham Community Centre and land south of Barnfield. It's considered that Kirkham Community Centre is a popular car park and is not being marketed at the moment, so is not suitable. And the land at Barnfield is in recreational use and unavailable. The Council's retail analyst has also looked at 2 further sites within his assessment. And these relate to the swimming pool at Station Road, which he considers has the potential for commercial development and is an edge of centre location. However, the site is not available and replacement recreational facilities would need to be in place for a redevelopment proposal. The other site is land at Eagles Court to the rear of properties fronting Holton Street. Its present use is as garage forecourts, public parking for rear servicing for commercial premises. The analysis within the SLAR indicates that the site will not be available for development for 11 to 15 years. So irrespective of whether the site is suitable or is of sufficient size, it's not available for development within a reasonable timescale. So the retail component of the application falls below the national threshold over which an assessment of the impacts of proposals are currently required. The initial draft of the emerging local plan indicates that the national default threshold of 2,500 square metres gross will apply within Fylde Borough, although the revised evidence base, if accepted, proposes a threshold of 750 square metres. The Council's retail analyst considers that there should be no doubt, based on evidence, that a proposal would cause significant and substantial harm before the refusal of planning permission on these grounds could be justified, and in his opinion, those exceptional circumstances do not arise in this case following the assessment of the retail proposal. The key issue with regard to impact is the effect of the proposals on independent retailers within Kirkham Town Centre. Despite long-standing concerns about the health of the centre, the most up-to-date evidence on vacancies contained within the retail assessment accompanying the planning application and the refresh of the Fowl Coast retail study indicate that vacancy levels are below the national average. This suggests that Kirkham has fared better than other centres in the prevailing economic climate. So, in terms of a summary on retail matters, there are no sequentially preferable sites available, and as the retail impact assessment that has been submitted demonstrates that any impact on Kirkham would be acceptable, and to a lesser extent as the requirement to demonstrate such impacts on smaller scale developments was introduced relatively late in the preparation and consideration of the application. Your officers are of the opinion that the relevant policy test for retail and town centre uses has been satisfied. Turning now to highway matters, the new access point to the site has been designed to reflect the level of traffic associated with the proposed uses. Since the application was originally submitted, concerns over the amount of on-site car parking have resulted in revised plans being submitted showing the formation of a further 492 space car park, which would be a benefit in alleviating parking pressures on nearby streets and neighbouring residential areas. Whilst Lancashire County Council accept the existing high traffic flows and queuing traffic during the evening peak and the impact of the additional traffic generated by this and other committed developments, they have raised no objection subject to mitigation measures. Similarly, the Highways Agency have withdrawn their initial holding direction with regard to the proposal and now offer no objection as a 10-year assessment of the transport implications of the strategic road network has been undertaken and agreed. So the agency is satisfied that the proposal will not have a harmful impact on the safety and operational performance of the strategic road network. With a detailed assessment of the application that's been made by county highway officers and the Highways Agency and their lack of overall objection to the scheme, your officers are of the view that a reason for refusal on highway safety grounds cannot be substantiated, subject to the contributions being asked for by the Highway Authority. Turning now to the issue of drainage, the site is within flood zone 1 according to the Environment Agency flood map, which is classified as land that has the lowest annual probability of flooding. The original proposal was to drain to a large cellular storage tank. However, in order to overcome the Environment Agency's concerns, the revised drainage proposal is to create a surface water attenuation pond. The car parking areas are proposed to be constructed with a fully porous surface and have a system of under drains to prevent waterlogging due to heavy rainfall. The runoff from the car park will be passed through an oil interceptor before discharging to the pond. The sports pitches would also be porous in construction, allowing the rainfall to pass through into the underlying ground as it does currently. The design also incorporates the flows from Mill Farm, that's the land to the east of the development, where the existing outfall will be diverted into the new drainage system. So the amended drainage scheme has been designed in conjunction with the Environment Agency, and they've now withdrawn their objection, which is recorded on the late observation list. In terms of foul drainage, the original proposal to use a foul water treatment plant has been replaced by the inclusion of a foul water pumping station. So all new foul drainage within the development will drain to the pumping facility before being discharged through a rising main that will discharge the effluent to the public sewer at Fleetwood Road. Turning now to the issue of ecology. The application site doesn't contain any specific ecological or landscape designations. However, it is open countryside that contains a series of hedgerows, wooded areas and trees. In regard to great crested newts, the supporting report confirms that there are several ponds within 250 metres of the site boundaries, many of which are suitable for use by great crested newts, although a detailed survey revealed none to occur. The nearest ponds are outside of the application site and will not be affected by this proposal. Common toads are classified as a species of principal importance and have been recorded in one of several off-site ponds close to the site. Therefore, if planning permission is granted, a condition should be imposed requiring, prior to construction works commencing, all suitable habitat for use by common toads shall be hand searched and any found shall be removed to a suitable safe location. In terms of bats, the applicants have submitted a bat activity survey report that indicate most of the larger trees are marginally suitable for bat roosting, though no evidence of roosting bats was found during these surveys. However, some of the hedgerows and stands of mature trees are used by bats for foraging and commuting, and it's proposed some of this habitat will be retained and enhanced where necessary by appropriate landscaping. So while there will be an impact on bats from lighting of the sports pitches, this would be mitigated by an appropriate lighting scheme. The lighting scheme will be designed to minimise light spread into these areas so that it does not have an adverse impact on bats. No protected species such as barn owl were recorded on the site, although other priority species such as house sparrow, starling and song thrush were recorded and will be allowed for in mitigation proposals to be agreed by condition. As such, it's not anticipated there will be a negative ecological impact arising from these proposals. In terms of the lighting of the site, the main impact from the illumination will be the visual impact on the character of the area and the potential for the levels of illumination, particularly from the floodlights, to create a nuisance to neighbours. The illumination impact profile submitted with the application indicates that the level of illuminance arising from the lighting proposals to the 6 nearest residential dwellings will vary between 0.01 and 0.38 lux as a measure of light spillage. So this is within the guidelines advocated by the Council's Environmental Protection Officer, who states there should be no illuminance at nearby dwellings greater than 3 lux in order to avoid light pollution. When the football stadium and sports pitches are used for nighttime matches, the illumination, when viewed in conjunction with the remainder of the development, will result in a significant change to the appearance of the area. However, the applicant has demonstrated that the introduction of lighting will not have a significant detrimental impact on residential amenity. Therefore, on balance, this is considered a factor which is neutral in terms of the overall development. In terms of noise, the principal sources of this are noise associated with the football crowd and noise associated with the community use of the sports pitches. In terms of the football stadium, games are likely to be played on Saturday afternoons and occasional midweeks. The noise will be above current levels, but it is not considered that it will lead to an undue disturbance on most occasions. An exception to this could be the big game situation, although in terms of the relationship between the stadium and the neighbouring dwellings, a limited number of dwellings at Rose Villas, Wesham House and Mill Farm will be affected. The community use of the pitches will be at a much lower level in terms of the number of spectators, but the time used will be more frequent and prolonged. These pitches will be floodlit and will be situated 208 metres from the nearest dwelling at Demingfield. They're likely to be available for use between 9 AM and 10 PM. The applicant's noise assessment calculates that for 50% of males shouting when on the pitch, for example when celebrating a goal, when all pitches are in operation, the sound pressure within the nearest garden at Demingfield would be 37 decibels on average. This is below the Council's Environmental Protection Officer's suggested maximum figure of 55 dB. So it's not considered that the use of these pitches will create a clear potential for disturbance at the nearest dwellings. Now, agricultural land, the application is supported by a report which investigates the soils across the site. This concludes that the whole site is grade 3, with 3.4 hectares or 39% of the site grade 3A good quality, and the remainder grade 3B of moderate quality. So the development will lead to the loss of 3.4 hectares of best and most versatile land from agricultural production. Like policy EP 22 of the local plan, the framework seeks to avoid the loss of best and most versatile land, but refers to seeking the use of poorer quality land where significant development of agricultural land is involved. There's no definition of what constitutes a significant area, but the National Planning and Policy Guidance refers to the 20 hectare threshold at which Natural England are a statutory consultee on planning applications in this respect. Therefore, it's not considered that the overall loss of 3.4 hectares of agricultural land involved in this scheme would be significant. The landscaping scheme, which I've previously shown you, seeks to retain and introduce new planting, with the emphasis being on new planting around the site boundaries, the eastern side of Fleetwood Road and along the proposed access road into the site. So it's considered to be a good quality landscaping scheme in scale with and reinforces the landscape character of the area. Turning now to the issue of the visual impact. The proposal, when viewed from neighbouring dwellings and other local roads and public rights of way, will significantly alter the views of the site without question. Given the development's nature, its scale, its layout and its use, it will be notably different to the surrounding rural areas situated around it. So the visual impact of the areas to be illuminated will also be very different. So the overall impression of the site will be one more typically found in an urban or an urban fringe location, in contrast to the rural area around the site. So it's considered this visual impact to be a negative aspect of the development. With regard to the economic benefits of the proposal, there will be benefits during construction and also the creation of permanent jobs associated with the uses as part of this proposal. This has to be set against the loss of the existing AFC Fylde Stadium at Kellamar Park and the impact that that will have on that area. Whilst it's not possible to quantify the figures at this stage, the development of the scale, which means benefits must outweigh the negative aspects, making the issue to be a positive one to be balanced in the overall decision. So there's some aspects in favour and some aspects against this development. Your officers consider the issues in favour. It would allow the football club to expand, increase the opportunities for watching and participating in sport. The development will be of a high quality design and benefits from the proposed landscaping scheme. The economic benefits in terms of job creation without causing demonstrable harm to local centres are another factor in favour. And the development improves opportunities for sustainable transport and will secure improvements to Kirkham and Wesham Railway Station whilst also allowing a reduction in travelling distance for most of Kirkham and AFC Fylde supporter base. The scheme can also be delivered without harming protected ecological species and can provide a satisfactory means of drainage. So these technical issues are in favour of the development. In terms of the negative, the site is located outside of any settlement on greenfield land that's allocated as countryside. And the impact on congestion on the local road network at peak time is considerable. And there would be an adverse visual impact on the development given the scale of the proposal as a whole, which would have a detrimental impact on the character of the area. So, weighing these factors into consideration, the overall recommendation is one of approval subject to a Section 106 agreement in order to secure the delivery of the football stadium and the sports pitches together with their community use and appropriate financial contributions towards public realm improvements and public transport initiatives.
Chairman, if I may, just to draw members' attention to the late observations schedule regarding this item. So on the late observations schedule, you'll see the comments on this application start sort of midway down page 1 and are quite extensive. Just to summarise, there's a correction to the Economic Development Officer's report in terms of the area of the pub was shown as being greater than it actually is on the application. So the revised job creation figures are 401 rather than 441. It's got to be said as well that those figures are based on typical densities as published in the Employment Densities Guide, 2nd edition. Again, there's been some issue about figures quoted in the application, but those are typical job creation levels based on the floor space. There's been 15 further letters of objection, 10 further letters of support, and a petition with 750 names in support of the application. And we've also set out the reviews on the reconsultation for Kirkham Town Centre and Town Council, and you've just heard the latest comments read out earlier. Greenhouse with Thistleton Parish Council. You see that the Environment Agency have now withdrawn their objection, and Sport England have also withdrawn their objection. The County Ecologist, however, remains with concerns regarding the ecological matters. So as a result of all that is that there is a revised recommendation. And so that is that powers to determine the application are delegated to the Head of Planning and Regeneration, subject to resolving the outstanding issues relating to ecological matters and subject to the completion of the Section 106 agreement. Obviously the conditions will be as set out on the agenda paper with amendments as per that will come out of that delegation to myself as a result of any discussions. But there are then a series of additional conditions which have been imposed at the request of primarily the Environment Agency when they have provided their final comments. So you will see that conditions 50 through to what is now condition 57. Appreciate that that's a lot of conditions, but that said, this is quite a large application with a series of different elements, and obviously it's necessary to ensure that the development is delivered in accordance with the approved plans, hence the number of conditions. Thank you, Chair.
Well, thank you, Mr. Atherton, for your extremely meticulous report. I've got 3 speakers, Councillors Chu, Ahmed and Redcliffe. Can I just say, members, following the lengthy speakers that we had earlier on, we would all appreciate, to the point, don't repeat yourselves, and be as short as possible. Succinct to the point. Councillor Chu.
Thank you, Chairman. If Mr. Atherton wouldn't mind putting the map back up again, please. members of the council may not be aware, but my ward starts here. This building is in my ward. None of my residents have been consulted. So I would like to say to you some of the things that they've said to me over the last couple of weeks. For a start off, they do feel that all of this has all been a bit hustled and bustled and pushed forward so quickly before they've had time to look at the altered plans, etc. And they certainly haven't had opportunity to come to the parish council, which meets next Monday, to actually have their say. And Chairman, I am extremely disappointed that you